All right, we're into 1927-28. And as I said yesterday, the NHL is starting to kind of resemble the team that we knew. I mean, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates, it's the Detroit Cougars, the old Senators, and there's two teams in Montreal for some reason. And money. Money's the reason. It's a big market, and they knew it could support two teams. Some pretty smart thinking. Big markets can support two teams. Discuss amongst yourselves. Um, the league scraps the salary cap. So there's been a salary cap in place for cost certainty, and they decided, we're fine. We're making money. We don't have to worry about that. But Ottawa did. Ottawa, the smallest market of all of these teams, and because of the fact that it's open up to the States, American teams are able to offer money that Ottawa just can't. So they're losing money. They start selling off star players to other teams. That was the thing. You could sell off your star players. And that's just as destructive as it sounds. It's like the ridiculous idea of having to sell Wayne Gretzky. Just imagine trying to do that. And this is where the circus comes into the whole matter as well. The New York Rangers famously during the playoffs have trouble with scheduling due to the circus. And it's been a thing. It's still been a thing that I remember. I'm trying to remember the most recent year I've seen it, but I know I've seen it recently. And the entire 1928 Stanley Cup final got moved to Montreal because of the circus being at Madison Square Garden. So there you go. September 24th, 1927, the NHL Board of Governors are like, you know what? We'll allow forward passing. It's that ridiculous, isn't it? And March 22nd of 1928 saw Alex Connell become the first goaltender to get 50 shutouts. Remember, they're only playing 44 games in a season at this point, and it's not that far removed from when they were playing about 30 games in a season. So 50 shutouts in a career is pretty darn impressive and indicative of just how little scoring you have at this point. The Hart Trophy goes to Howie Morenz, who's emerging as like an all-time great for the Montreal Canadiens, who would not get over that hump and get back into the Stanley Cup that year. The Lady Byng goes to Frank Boucher. The Vezina goes to George Hainsworth. Hainsworth, of course, is Hall of Famer, and he's put up great numbers his entire career. And Howie Morenz leads the league in both goals and assists. 33 goals and 18 assists. There are 6 goalies with 10 or more shutouts this season. 6 with 10 or more. This is a league of 10 teams, and again, it's a 44-game schedule. It is a completely different world than the one we know now. The quarterfinals that year, the Maroons 1-0. The Maroons 2-1. They knock out Ottawa 3-1. So Ottawa, the Senators, this powerhouse, the first dynasty in the NHL, looks like they're fading. In the other quarterfinal, the New York Rangers win 4-0 in Game 1. It's a 4-2 win for Pittsburgh in Game 2. But because it's total goals wins, the Rangers win the series 6-4. Semifinals. The Maroons tie Montreal 2-2 in Game 1. The Maroons beat Montreal 1-0 in Game 2. They score the upset with a 3-2 win in total goals. On the other side of things, in the American Division, Boston and the New York Rangers are 1-1 draw. New York with a 4-1 win over Boston in Game 2, so they win the total series 5-2. In the finals, the Maroons win 2-0. The Rangers win 2-1 in overtime. A scoreless draw in the third game. The Rangers win the next game 1-0 and 2-1 win for the Rangers. That scoreless draw is not a scoreless draw. I think I just got so used to writing about shutouts that I'm like, all right, that was a scoreless draw. Yeah, it wasn't a scoreless draw. Because, and again, normally I'd be like, ties in playoffs. That's not right. But this back then, that happened. So, Maroons won Game 3 2-0, and then eventually the Rangers won. They win the last 2 games to come from behind and win it in 5, 3-2. The things that stand out here, almost every team has a plus 500 record. The Detroit Cougars are at 19-19-6. The Chicago Blackhawks, 7 wins, 34 losses, and 3 draws. That's a pretty sad team they got from Portland right there. And the New York Americans, 11-27-6. You'll notice there's never been a New York Americans team that won a Stanley Cup. They didn't get close here either. But it is the first Stanley Cup win for an American-based NHL team. with the New York Rangers, who only finished at 19-16-9. They would have been one of the lower seeds out of the entire league. And really, honestly, this is the start of a whole new era. And it is the first Stanley Cup awarded to an American team since the Seattle Metropolitans. So there you go. A little bit of information for the day. You'll notice that Boston has started to emerge in the East. Montreal Canadiens have started to emerge in the East because they're both Eastern divisions. Canadian division, American division. The Americans, you got Boston. Canadians, you got Montreal. I don't know how long this rivalry will last between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. Let me know how long you think this rivalry is going to go on in this series. Anyways, there you go. The 1927-28 season that sees the first ever Stanley Cup for the New York Rangers. This has been your history video of the day. The Hall of Fame announcement will be today, June 26, 2018. That's going to be interesting, and there will definitely be a video on who got in, and sometimes, almost as importantly, who didn't get in. But there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just happened upon this video. And I'll talk to you again soon.